Hi guys, in this show we're looking at McBride, Busey, Wallace, Coombs, Astin, Dobson, Alvarado and Fox. We're looking at 1996's The Frighteners.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of 100 Things We Learned From Film. I'm one of your hosts, my name's Mark, and I am oozing with ectoplasm.
And I'm the other guy, I'm known as the brains of the outfit.
and the looks, and the brawn. The fuck do I bring to this party?
The personality!
Yeah. A list of ex-girlfriends as long as your schlong, mate, that say that's not the case. Jesus, hang on, I'm just going to add that explicit button to this episode already. Yeah, how are you, John? You all right?
I'm alright, mate. Yeah, just counting the minutes to Christmas. It's on its way, so happy times.
Yeah, absolutely. We're only one episode from Christmas, so we are, of course, covering another ghostly Christmas film. Well, that's not really a Christmas film, but ghosts and Christmas for me.
Yeah,
hand in hand.
Yep, they go together like
peanut butter and jizz.
Well, of course you can get to peanut butter and jizz.
They go together like peanut butter, your dick, and your dog. Not you particularly. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. But so for me, that's what it is. And next week, we're going to do something really special. We're going to do a ghostly Christmas film. So, we're culminating with that. Yep. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Fuck knows what we're doing for Hogmanay. Well, I'm sure we'll figure some shit out. We haven't got that far yet.
We'll get it. We'll do it.
We'll figure that out when we're drunk and we're having some Zoom chats, as always.
Yeah.
We are the podcast that tries to learn 100 things from the subject matter film. John's watched the film and made a list. I've watched the film and made a list. I've even checked my list twice, but then I am a fat bearded prick, so that's what we do at this time of year. So why not?
Why not, indeed?
John, what are we cracking about this week?
So we're cracking about a little cracker, The Frighteners from 1996.
Oh, The Frighteners! Isn't this such a good film? Still,
it's honestly, I watched it years ago, and I watched it the last couple of nights, and it's still all right. There are a couple of bits of CGI dodginess, but other than that, it's really, really good. And still enjoyed it.
This is a global video VHS special, John.
It really is.
I think I rented this a couple of times from Global Video.
Well, my mate gave me a pirate copy back in the day.
Was it Captain Pugwash?
No. No, it was just Frighteners he gave me.
John, we're talking 96. We could have talked other films, I'm sure.
Yep, we could have. We could be talking Jingle All the Way, Hamlet, all your wee pals in this. Fear with Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, hey, bro!
The film that knocked this off of the sort of this film, The Frighteners, was a flop, but only because they're saying it went up against Daylight with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, I think about Daylight at least once a week because I travel through the Tyne Tunnel.
Okay. Brings back some memories.
You've done the Clyde Tunnel a few times, I would assume, John. Do you think about that?
Yeah.
Robert Patrick's in that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So is it Viggo Mortensen?
Is he?
Yeah, I'm sure he's a climber or some kind of sporty guy. Independence Day, which I went and seen 3 or 4 times back in the day.
Yeah, I went to see it twice.
There's two ends of the spectrum here. There's Executive Decision with Kurt Russell in it, but there's also Escape from LA.
Oh, Escape from LA, right? Escape from LA has the shonkiest CGI. And when we're talking about this movie, most of the computer graphics still brilliant as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah.
But there's, on one of the Blu-ray releases, I think, from Escape from LA, which you can find on YouTube, there's an interview with the guy that they brought in to do the special effects, and he just wasn't up to it. And there's like this kind of this post-production interview, and they're like, yeah, I'm really sorry. You're kind of like, fuck.
Wow.
They've like basically gone, so why are the effects, 20 years
Oh
on,
my
why are the
God,
effects so bad, pal?
that's
And he's like,
terrible.
yeah, they thought I could do it and I couldn't do it.
Jesus,
And
that's a
that
big, massive
stinks,
letdown.
doesn't it?
Well, this film did stand the test of time, but it's only because Peter Jackson was involved. They had Weta involved. They had all these things come together. So it had everyone round about with Robert Zemeckis. He really did have a lot of help doing this film. So
Yeah,
that's probably why it's so.
yeah.
I'm going to say Folms because I've read it wrong. It's Folms. It's one of the Folms.
That's one of the films.
One of
Uh,
these Folms.
it's so much fun. So let's get into it instead of making people listen to our blether shite for a little while. Um, it opens and it says it's a Robert Zemeckis production.
Yep.
Zemeckis, I'm sure you're aware of this, John, but Zemeckis was originally planned to direct it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and he believed he couldn't do it justice, so gave
Mm.
it to Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson really wasn't that renowned a director at the time, was he?
This was his first biggie because I'd watched all his earlier stuff, so
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of Peter Jackson's earlier stuff because I think he no one of the founders of the Wingnut Films that brought
Mhm.
us such classics as Meet the Feebles, Bad Taste, and Brain Dead.
I have Bad Taste and Brain Dead on a double VHS somewhere
Oh,
in
loved
this
it.
house, but
Absolutely loved
I've
it.
never traded up. But I need to. Do you know I've still never seen Meet the Feebles?
Have you not?
No, and I'm told it's really
It's
it really lacks any heart. It's really just
Yeah, it's not as good
brute.
or disgusting as Brain Dead or Bad Taste to be honest. But it's just more like a disgusting looking Muppets just with
Yeah.
extra slime thrown in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
for
So
our American listeners, of course, Brain Dead is Dead Alive. For those that don't know, Dead
ah,
Alive is Brain Dead.
Wingnut Films were founded in February 14th, Valentine's Day in 1987,
Okay.
by Peter Jackson and one of his good mates, Michael Stevens.
They've made 22 films to date, including King Kong, all those fucking Middle Earth films, which are so everybody walks in those films, even the fucking trees. So
Aye.
that's a Clark's two reference for you. That Beatles documentary, Get Back, that everybody's watching, but I could not care less about.
Mm,
That's on Disney Plus at the minute. Oh, we're going to get back. Gear.
get back.
Not interested at all. Um, the mum in this, by the way, we'll get to in a minute, but the mum in this, I was certain was the old dame from Brain Dead. You know, the boy's mum from Brain Dead that gets bitten by the little monkey. It
Yeah,
isn't, but she's the fucking spit and the
she really
voice
is.
of.
She's
Yeah,
so stern, and which is
yeah.
weird because I think this was filmed in New Zealand anyway, wasn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it was filmed in New Zealand with the understanding that it would be made to look like Central. So I was going to say Central America. Ay, 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 ay! That it
Suburbia.
was. Jesus, that it was made to look like Honduras. That it would look like any kind of town in kind of Middle America.
Yeah.
And I was always certain for bloody donkeys that it was filmed in. That it was filmed in San Francisco kind of way, just because of the mist and the
Yeah,
hills.
yeah.
Yeah, but there's a shot later on, and the hills just look kind of like you're like, that's fucking hobbits up there.
Aye. Well, I tried to find. So I like some of the scene stuff and some of the location stuff. So I actually tried to look at some of the locations, but there was where it was filmed in New Zealand. There was a earthquake in 2011, so
Okay.
all the buildings that were referenced are all gone.
All right,
Yeah, so
wow,
usually you could actually say, oh, that's where that was filmed, but because it was
sure.
so bad, half it wasn't there. So it was a shame. It was a
Oh, that
shame.
is a shame. But now it's all hobbit houses there.
The cemetery's
So,
still there.
all right, okay. Well, that's something at least. Um, Braindead caused a lawsuit, which was called Bradley versus Wingnut Films. In the film, you see the Bradley family tombstone. So your man Bradley took them to court and won, and it started a new invasion of privacy law in New Zealand.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, all on the back of that. So if you think about it, that being only the second film that they'd produced, Things could have been very, very different for Peter Jackson. He could have ended up working in a call centre or
Oh,
I don't know,
yeah.
fucking selling phones in a shop or something like that. The place that we are zooming in on now is a place called Fairweather. This village, this town called Fairweather. Fairweather's not a real place, but
Yep,
there are
checked
some
out.
real Fairweathers. Cardiff, Wales, Wisconsin, USA, and there is a house by the name of Fairweather in Balmain, New South Wales. Is named Fairweather and has been called Australia's most scenic mansion.
Ooh.
Which I was semi-interested in.
Better be haunted.
You would hope so. We come to this house. Oh, by the way, got to point out to listeners that we were watching the director's cut.
Yeah.
So we watched the director's cut of this one. So it's slightly longer. John, you might know what's in this that isn't in the other ones, but I didn't. I didn't really pay too much attention.
Maybe I actually didn't recognise anything that was changed, so we're all right. We're all right. There was nothing. It didn't change the tone or the story in any way.
Okay. So there's this awful drop into bits house, which I think looks like the Brain Dead house as well. Looks like the Dead Alive house, doesn't it? You know, that they're in. It's really good. Dee Williams, who's the mam out of E.T.
E.T.
Yeah. She looks smashing in this, by the way. She looked like she was obviously playing it mentally disturbed. She looked fantastic.
She looked good, and I think the point getting Dee Wallace in is just to make her look so angelic. So you think, what can it? And it totally worked, because when I first saw this, I thought, oh, it's the mum for E.T.
Yeah.
What an angel.
They're both being harassed by this ghost in the walls. And these look really good, because the ghost basically took on whatever the shape of the walls was, whatever the texture of the walls, and the carpet, and this thing grabs Dee Williams' character. She's Patricia, and the man comes out with this like 12 ball and shoots it like the wicked will be punished. I was like, yes. So the newspaper report says that Fairwater, there's all these heart attacks that have killed 26 people in 30 years. This report has been sent to find out what it's all about. And there's all these really kind of British sounding people in it that are quite blatantly Kiwis.
Yeah.
Really good. Or they're British expats that have moved to New Zealand.
What accent can you do? Yeah, I can do a British accent.
I can do a British accent. Oh, that'll do fine. Yeah. He's been sent to find out what's causing all the deaths. They're at this funeral. Frank Bannister, who he, John?
Oh, Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox, wow.
A young boy in his last starring role in a movie.
All right, okay. I didn't realise that was the case.
He decided, this is a film that he decided to stop making movies because he didn't want to be apart from his family. So that's after that he done Spin City and just series, so he never done another film.
Good man. I'm going to add both those to the notes, but I'm just going to have to move the cat. Colin Robinson, get off the bloody notes, mate. Yes,
you fun sucker. Get out of the way.
The listeners love you too, you big ginger prat. Right. He's handing out these business cards. He's a psychic investigator, which I thought was really good. He gets strong-armed away from the funeral. And on his way home, he loses control of his car. His car, by the way...
Oh, Jesus, what a classic.
Barely a motor. I didn't know.
It was a 1959 Volvo PV 544. So I looked them up, and you can buy one for 17 grand.
All right, okay. No, you're all right.
Yeah.
You can buy one for 17 grand, mate. I'm all right.
Talking about cars, did you see the hearse?
No, just a hearse.
But it looked like the station wagon from the vacation movies. It didn't look like
right. Oh, so they painted up a station wagon.
It looks like it's literally just a station wagon.
Oh, man. Holiday Road. That's maybe not the thing. Although the old dame dies in it, doesn't she? You know, the old
spoiler, guys. Spoiler. But yeah, it was just a station wagon, and I couldn't because I couldn't.
Nice.
I tried to look for it, but it never had it as a hearse, so
Okay.
it must be a station wagon.
He loses control of his car because he's dropped his business cards on the floor, and he's we've all done that though, haven't we? Like, I'm not
Oh
saying I'm a dangerous driver. We've all kind of like dropped something. Oh, fuck's sake! And you're scrabbling about, and you're like, oh no. He smashes into this garden, smashes this fence, and the gnomes. Now,
yeah.
this guy, this character here. Did
Uh-huh.
you recognise the actor from anything, by the way?
So I don't know, but I remember him playing Elvis somewhere.
He is in future episode, which I keep going on about as a future episode, Forrest Gump. He
So it
is
was.
Elvis in Forrest Gump.
Yeah, so it was. I
Yeah,
remember.
and that's I absolutely loved. I was well into that. Well into that.
Consider there's a wee Elvis flying about in the room at some point.
Well, there is, yeah. He does do that, yeah. Peter Dobson, the actor's called, and I thought that was a nice nod to a film from only a couple of years before. The guy's upset because he smashed the he smashed the fence, he smashed his gnome, and he's like, "Oh, Budso, not my Budso," and I'm like, "What?" So Budso the gnome's not a thing. But what I did learn was about gnomes, obviously. In ancient Rome, small stone statues depicting the Greco-Roman fertility god Priapus, also the protector of flaws. Flaws, John!
Flaws?
No, not as in what's wrong with me, not as in how self-obsessed I am and how much I love my own voice, as in the thing that you put your fucking feet on when you're walking.
Floors.
Flaws. They were frequently placed in Roman gardens. Garden gnomes were further popularised when Sir Frank Crisp, no, not the snack, the owner of the second largest collection of garden gnomes in the UK, opened an estate to the public once a week from 1910 to 1919. This is where we think garden enthusiasts first saw garden gnomes.
Ooh.
This is fact of the show, I think, so early on. Tom Major Ball, father of former British Prime Minister John Major, was the most notable producer of post-World War II gnomes with his company Major's Garden Ornaments.
Wow.
No wonder his son was so fucking boring.
I know. I was going to say that. We radar sticking in his head.
That's a reference to a TV show that hasn't been on TV forever.
Oh no, it's back on BritBox.
He gives the guy his card and says, "Look, just send me the bill." We meet Dr. Linsky now. She's here to fix Patricia's injured hand from this. The mum escorts her out because she can't be trusted. Her daughter can't be trusted. She's guilty of cold, hard murder. The mum's obviously mental, is what we surmise from this bit of the film.
Yeah.
This grainy black and white news report she's watching on this old VHS. 12 people were murdered by John Charles Barkley. Did you spot who that was, by the way? The actor.
Gary Busey's son, isn't it?
Gary Busey's son. Yeah, absolutely. Jake Busey. I know Jake Busey most of all from
Starship.
Future episode. You're right, Starship Troopers, and we will be doing Starship Troopers, listeners, in the next couple of months. We will be covering that with a very special guest,
definitely.
which we're quite excited about. It's not Jake Busey, by the way, and it's also not Gary. I don't need to wear a helmet on my motorcycle, Busey. Jesus, that guy. I mean, I think that guy had got trauma before he fell off his motorbike.
Oh, God, definitely.
And he kept those teeth intact. That's quite impressive. Eat a fucking tennis racket, eat an apple through a tennis racket. That boy, couldn't he?
Oh, gee, Busey, what a guy! What a guy!
Patricia is basically the girl that kind of was implemented in all these murders.
Yeah.
So he killed 15 people at the time, or 13 people at the time. Sorry, she was 15 and he killed 12. I need to figure out my notes a little bit better than that. Yeah, he killed 12. She was 15.
Oh, this is my sort of fact of the show, and I didn't even know who this person was. But when he killed the 12, he says that's one more than Charles Starkweather.
Mm-hmm.
So Starkweather was an American spree killer who murdered 11 people in Nebraska and Wyoming between December 1957 and January 1958. He was only 19-year-old when he killed them. He killed 10 of his victims between January the 21st and January 29th, and his girlfriend was only 14 at the time.
So basically, this is based on that, isn't it? And they've then referenced him for the crack. Oh, fantastic! Yep. So they're all pedos. Is the thing? They're all
We're getting it, yeah.
pedo. Yeah. Okay. And the only reason Patricia liked him was she liked horses. She recognised the teeth.
Oh yeah, she loved that. It was supposed to be. This film was supposed to be a Tales from the Crypt movie.
Oh right, okay. I didn't catch that. An episode of Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, but they thought it could stand alone, and it bloody did.
And they were not wrong. Yeah.
No, they were not.
The voiceover says 2,200 volts of electricity were passed through his body. That'd fucking do you. In fact, I hope they didn't wet the sponge. They just fucking did him.
Later on, you see him and his top of his head's all burnt, so could well be.
I didn't spot that. That's a great detail. Fantastic. Patricia got life, but has been pardoned. The husband of Dr. Linsky, as we see when she's watching the thing, is the guy who got his fence smashed. We see the Elvis statue, and I was like, haha, very good. He finds Frank's card, and as he's like, I thought I tore this up. And then the bed starts floating, which I was like, that's fucking high spirits again, man. That's high spirits. We're going to do high spirits, and they're not going to shut up about it. The bed starts floating, the Elvis statue does. And then this Raggedy Ann doll tries to kill her.
Is it trying to kill her, or is it trying to shag her? It looks as if it's trying to hump her.
Trying
to do something.
Raggedy Ann is a character created by American writer Johnny Gruelle, which is what you feed orphans. Please, sir, can I have some more Johnny Gruelle? Raggedy Ann is a rag doll with red yarn for hair, a triangle nose, and is horrifying looking. And you can get a 16-inch one for now on Amazon for £32.72p. But don't, because Amazon are pricks.
And don't pay any taxes.
Correct. Not in this country, anyway.
So, have you had something like that happen in your house? The first person you would call is a parapsychologist.
Okay.
Right? But the problem I've got is I googled the nearest parapsychologist to me, and my closest parapsychologist is in Edinburgh, because there's a Edinburgh College of Parapsychology.
Right, okay. Will you stop saying parapsychology? It's funny because you mentioned that, and I'd written down, he's got in his card psychic investigators, right? And I thought, I'm going to find out a little bit about psychic investigators. He's got this, his coat, by the way, he's like Columbo, isn't he? Just one more thing, just one more ghost. In a 1993 survey of police departments in the 50 largest cities in the United States revealed that a third of them had accepted predictions from psychic detectives in the past, which is very much like that Simpsons thing where they're trying to figure out who killed Mr. Burns. Famous psychic investigators in films that I could think of were that the Warrens in those Conjuring films. They all dress the same. I've seen the first one that promised to be about the doll and wasn't about the doll, and then I didn't watch any of the others, including the one that's about the doll. The Ghostbusters, of course, which I then went away and watched the advert from the Ghostbusters film, which I watched Ghostbusters again recently. It's a perfect film. Are you troubled by strange noises in the night? Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic? It's great. It's fantastic. And our old friend Zelba Rubinstein, the actress in Poltergeist. Yeah, I'm not going to do the impression though, John. I'm not going to do the impression.
Don't do it. We've heard it before.
We've all heard it before. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, so, those are some examples of yon job that I could think of. They ring him and he comes in. There was this stop motion chicken walking in the hall, which I think looked fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I thought it was
stop
good.
motion still looks good,
That's
and I don't care
effects.
who knows about it. Yeah, I was well and truly into that. In New Zealand every year, certainly from the reports from 2017, New Zealanders or Kiwis consume 43.1 kilos of chicken per person, making it the most popular meat that you don't shag in New Zealand. That's a joke for both of our Australian listeners. That one.
No one.
we haven't got any Kiwi listeners, and if we did have, we wouldn't have any now, mate. I'll tell you that for fucking free.
And they're gone.
Oh, by the way, this character, Rachel turned to me and went, "Is that non-union Andy McDowell?"
Oh, the
She did have a
actress.
little bit of a look of non-union and do it
Oh,
down.
actor. Sorry.
So he comes in. He agrees to do it for the cost of the fence. He'd originally said it was $450 US. $450 US today would be $797.17.
Right.
But he agrees to do it for the price of the fence.
Fence. Yeah.
Yeah. He says it sounds like we've got a poltergeist here. A poltergeist is the type of ghost or spirit that's responsible for physical disturbances. So if you get like a bang, a bump in the night or whatever, shit being thrown about your house or destroyed, whatever, that's a poltergeist. But you've all seen the fucking film Poltergeist, and I mean the 1982 Poltergeist, not the other one.
Not the. Was there another one?
Yeah, there's a oh, very good, yeah. Just like there's only 3 Indiana Jones films. Yeah, nice one, good work. So he's got this ancient old radio that he plugs in, and then he pulls out this gun, and they just shit it. And he's like, no, holy water. Right.
They were crappy.
Holy water's only truly holy if it's been blessed by an ordained member of the church. And this, you'll love this, John, because this is right up your street. I know you're going to go on and go to this as soon as we're finished. CatholicGiftShop.co.uk will sell you a bottle of holy water from Lord's for £5.99. The description in the website says, Lord's holy water collected from the spring at the grotto.
What?
So I'm like, did they get it from the Playboy Mansion?
From the grotto.
If the bunnies have bathed in it, I'll buy a fucking container.
Oh, God,
I mean, not really, of course. Do you remember those idiot fucking internet virgins that bought that fucking Lassie's bath water?
Bath water, yeah.
Yeah, I hope they all got fucking herpes or whatever. That's what we should be selling instead of fucking hats. We should be selling bath water. Do you know what? I know this is going to make me sound stinky. I've not had a bath in fucking years.
Shower person?
Who sits around in their own filth? Wallowing around in their own filth?
And is it that new series on Netflix that's meant to be a bath shower?
Oh, Cowboy Bebop? Right, okay.
But they've got a new theory. You need to have a shower first, then a bath, and then a shower.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I'm into that. Just have a bath and then have a shower. But I guess that way there's less of a ring of shite around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Nice.
We'll go with that. I'll give that a go this weekend.
Yeah. I'm not going to watch Cowboy Bebop. It's not for me.
Oh, it's cancelled anyway.
It's what?
It's already been cancelled.
All right. Okay. That's fine. Cowboys should all be cancelled, but that's a different story.
Right, so he pulls a wee bag at the transistor radio, didn't he?
It does, yeah.
Isn't it weird, isn't it?
It's got like, and he throws it down the waste disposal, and he's like, "Yeah, that'll get rid of them." And I mean, even if you didn't think he was a charlatan, you'd be hard pressed to believe that. Yeah.
Although I did look into waste disposal units.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. In 1927, the world's first food waste disposal unit was invented by Wisconsin architect G.W. Hams. So
Trevor Waste Disposal.
Armies
Unit Esquire. That's a good one, John. I like that one. I'm into
1927 on that, because I always remember watching old movies and they all had waste disposal units. I thought, when the hell did they invent that? Because we've got nothing like that here.
I get stressed out when I see them in American films, especially. And again, is it the second Final Destination?
Final Destination. Could well be.
He loses he wins the lottery, doesn't he? And he loses his ring down the. I mean, we've all lost our ring down a sink at some point. He spots the number on the forehead of the character, and he's kind of as he comes out, he sees this 37. The guy throws Frank out. He gets home, and these ghosts come out of the boot of his car.
Yeah, they do.
Stuart and Cyrus, and they're so cool. I like Stuart and Cyrus.
I like Cyrus.
What I wasn't convinced with was the fact Stuart was meant to be a school kid. He was fucking older than me.
I know that didn't. Yeah, that was a bit weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're working for him, but they're unhappy with the agreement. He says, oh, we're going to form the AAAC. There ain't nothing worse than a bunch of pissed off brothers who are already dead. Which I was very into. Cyrus has all the best lines. He really does.
He really does. He's the captain in that bloody Will Smith AI thing, isn't he?
Oh, he is the captain in that. Well done, yeah. Shit, I haven't thought about AI for ages because I haven't thought about Converse shoes in ages.
That's it. Product
That's
placement,
why.
perfect.
Fucking hell.
Oh.
Frank and the Ghost live in this half-finished house, which
Yeah.
I've sold houses like, probably not quite to this size, but I've sold houses like this, half-finished, knackered, whatever. They've got this ghost bloodhound, which I absolutely love, because it comes out of fucking nowhere the next day. And it's got this jawbone in its mouth, which I was like, oh, fantastic. That's you've got a jawbone. That's interesting. And then he's being chased by this character, the judge.
Oh,
now,
brilliant.
John Astin. We've seen John Astin before.
Mm-hmm.
He was in European Vacation as the host of Pig and a Poke. And he is one of the last two living members of that 60s Addams Family show.
Right. Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's still with us, yeah. He was
Jesus.
on Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal podcast a couple of years ago, and he was quite spry. You know, he's still got all his
Still got
faculties a couple of years ago. He's in his 90s. And of course, you always mention Erie, Indiana when we talk about John Astin.
Oh,
so I'm going to beat you to it. I've never looked at Tupperware the same again.
He sounds so different this, but I'm putting it down to the teeth. The eyes, you can tell it's him with the eyes, but when he talks, I think it's because of those teeth.
Oh, right. He had big old
big teeth in,
gnashes in, did he? Oh, very good.
I was reading a bit about this as well, and it says that he was chasing the dog around with what they called a wheel gun.
Right.
Which is basically another name for a 6-shooter or a revolver. I've never heard it being called a wheel gun, but apparently they're called wheel guns.
I'm glad you did guns, because I have on my list here the judge's guns, and I'd obviously just gone fucking blind to looking that up when I got the chance. The Bloodhound John, they're obviously hunting dogs, fucking massive. One would probably eat Keith, so you're not allowed one. I've seen prices this year between 900 quid and 1,300 quid if you did want one. Which don't get one. Although they're beautiful dogs. You know, such hang dog, sad sack kind of dogs. My kind of dog. So
when he's talking to the ghost, there's a lot of products in the background. Did you notice a few things in the background?
I didn't spot a fucking thing, mate.
I'm surprised at that, because I was waiting for you to come out. The thing I did spot was a cereal called Booberry, which is a real cereal.
I've heard of Booberry.
But there was also something called Shoe Fly spray, which he sprays Stuart's face.
He sprays in Stuart's face, yeah.
But it's not a real thing, which I was quite annoyed about, because shoe fly sounds absolutely awesome.
Shoe fly?
Shoe fly, don't bother me.
I'll add shoe fly not being a real thing to the list. So, Stuart is complaining he's got a double major, and he shouldn't be basically fucking ghosting about. I mean, this seems to me, to my mind, like I don't fucking know what ghosting. This seems to my mind like the perfect relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but Stuart's moaning he's got a double major. He shouldn't be doing this. A double major is a student who completes 2 set of degree specialisation requirements, generally whilst receiving only 1 degree, but it's called a double major. Example, maths and a science, or a math Americans, and science, or filmmaking and podcasting, which will get you really far, kids. You should do that.
Do it now.
Who the fuck am I kidding? This podcast isn't listened to by kids. It's listened to by dads, the unemployable, alcoholics, angry loners,
people that can't be bored watching films.
People that want really good films that they like ruined for them. Yeah. Cyrus is moaning that he just wants a cigar blown in his face. He says, look, and here I am dressed like the Mod Squad. It's not my fault that you died in the 70s and that's what the outfits were. Mod Squad was a crime drama that ran for 124 episodes between 1968 and 1973. I can assure you it never aired in the UK, or certainly not in our lifetime, John.
Never seen it.
No, I never even heard of it, mate. It's kind of referenced in things, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
The judge is shooting at this dog, which the dog's not got a name. We never find out what the dog's name is. But ghost dogs is a thing. And I was kind of like, okay, ghost dogs is a thing. Ghosts don't have souls, but okay, ghost dogs is a thing. And Sam says, if I want to be shot at every day, I move my black ass to Los Angeles. So I was like, yes, that was good. And it's still as prescient today as it ever was. That Cyrus, the judge, as you said before, he's this gunslinger. He's dropping to bits. He wants to be buried at the local cemetery. The ghosts scare Frank by dressing up in this black cowl. And Stuart says, maybe a white sheet next time. Cyrus are like, there'll be no white sheets. No. I was like, yes, that's good. I like it, but I don't like it. I wish that couldn't ever be a joke. But, you know.
I get it. They've done well with it, considering Cyrus was wanting to say it.
Frank explains he owns 15 grand to the bank, or they're going to take the house. So it's about, we've got to basically level up on the game. Cyrus and Stuart are away to haunt this posh house. They got like 5 kids and a nanny. Stu and Cyrus are basically zooming these kids around the house, aren't they? It's like fucking Matilda.
yeah. One of them's Peter Jackson's son.
Oh, right. Oh, fantastic. I assume his daughter wasn't born at the time, because usually his son and daughter are in all of these.
Yeah.
Oh, not all of these, but all of his films. Frank gets the call and heads out, gets stuck in this funeral procession, and then overtakes them driving on the pavement. He gets there. She doesn't fall for it. She's got the newspaper, and the reporters basically say she's a fraud. So he runs into the editor, English actress. He's like, I'm just trying to make a living. And I liked the line, it's not a word you'd know too much about, is it, living? And I was like, burn. As he's leaving, he bumps into our friend Peter Jackson, this punk guy, isn't he? He's like, "Hey, watch it, bastard!" or whatever. It's a fucking asshole. Brilliant. He's in all the Lord of the Rings films. He's in the Fellowship of the Ring. You spot him in that rainy fucking. And again, it's the same gag. They come through a door somewhere and they walk into him. So basically, I think that's Peter Jackson's thing, getting fucking walked into in all of his films. It. What should happen is that as John and Yoko are getting out of the car in New York, he should be there in that Get Back film, and they should walk in and be saying, "Hey, watch it!" And then he gets shot by Mark Chapman. That's probably going to be cut out. Actually, if you edit it, it won't be. If I do, I'll just go, "Oh, actually, that's kind of funny," and I'll keep it in, and then we'll lose even more listeners. We've lost a lot of listeners from some of the shit I've said recently, John.
We'll survive.
It doesn't matter. As long as there's Rachel and Sammy still listening, we'll be all right.
Exactly. I didn't realise that every time he was in those films, he always got walked into.
Well, no, I need to look a bit more into that, but those 2 particular films, he gets walked in.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it is, when's a door not a door? When it's a Peter Jackson.
That's a really good joke, but only if you've heard this podcast. Which means it's really funny if we're in a pub with 4 people.
Exactly.
There's another funeral procession, and Dr. Linsky's in the car. And here's Ray, the ghost. He's running, like he's jogging. Obviously, that's all he does. He says, "You got to help me." He says, "Oh, didn't you take the corridor of light?" He says, "Well, no, because I'm too young." He says, "You'll get another chance in the future." "Go into the light, child. Go into the light."
You had to whip it.
Couldn't help myself. It's been eating away at me for the last 20 minutes now.
Oh, mate.
Follow the light, Ray. Get into the light.
Let it go.
Child. They head to the funeral, and there's loads of ghosts in this cemetery, including Arlie Ermey. Right?
Yeah, totally.
Who has only ever played the same character in everything except for 7, where he's a bit more subdued in 7.
Oh, yeah. God, I forgot about that, actually, yeah. He is drill sergeant and everything apart from that one thing.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, he's always the same. They've a history. He keeps ghosts in their place. He's got these assault rifles. They'll come back later. Ray's watching his own funeral, falls into his own grave, and they're kind of hoying the soil in, the dirt in there. The sheriff arrives. The sheriff's the old boy who used to do the portering. I think that's a thing in ER. He's the
Oh, that's what
porter
it
out of
was. Yeah,
ER, isn't
I'm
he?
sure.
Yeah, we've
I'm
seen him
sure
in
he was in.
something before. I can't remember what.
Is it? I'm sure I've seen him in Stephen King horror. He's just
Oh,
he's
you've
got
probably
one of
seen
those
him in all.
faces.
They know he was the last person to see Ray alive and that he'd had a set 2 with him, which I think is a bit harsh, but really a set 2.
Mm-hmm.
FBI autopsies have found that the deaths are like crushed hearts, but when they check them out, there's no damage to the hearts, which is very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Frank helps Ray out of the grave, and Dr. Linsky, who is Lucy Linsky, sees him kind of talking to nobody. She says, "Oh, look, you can see him, can't you? Have you got a message from Ray?" And he just says, "He says he loves you very much." And I'm like, "Okay, fine." Now, this next scene, they're at this place called Excalibur's that Ray had booked earlier in the thing. What film could I think of here? It's the only film I could think of. Have you any idea?
So obviously, automatically, I thought about Cable Guy, right?
Yeah, me too.
But I looked up Excalibur's, but it's not a restaurant. There's an Excalibur's hotel and casino in Vegas, but there's not a restaurant chain. I actually thought it was a chain.
Oh, I
But
hoped it was. I hoped it was just full of people going, "Milady,"
my
but
lord, my
not
lord.
wearing fedoras and having neck beards. Milady.
But no, I'm like you. I totally thought Cable Guy this one.
Cable Guy, yeah. Is that something worth watching again, John? Again, that's another global video for me.
I think, definitely. I think we need to get another chance. I don't think I gave it the chance it deserved.
Can we find some way of getting it off the internet for free so
Yes.
that Matthew Broderick, the murderer, doesn't get any money? Can we do that?
We can do that. We can
Okay.
totally do that.
This is your PSA reminder, listeners. Matthew Broderick is a murderer and still was allowed to have a career.
Crazy, isn't it?
Jennifer Grey's all right. She was just passengers, not her fault. Jennifer Grey? Was it Jennifer Grey? Was his girlfriend?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nobody puts
Baby. In the grave.
nobody puts hit and runs in the. Oh, yeah, very good. Yeah. Jesus Christ, we need to stop.
We go
But yes,
everywhere.
I regularly like to remind people on our Twitter, and I'll remind people this week that it's the case. So they're having this meal. And it's a bit like Ghost, this. So she's asking him to kind of like tell her stuff, and he gives her some flowers, and he's like, "Yeah, tell her they're from me." He's like, "Yes, they're from Ray." And she's like, the guy comes over, "Milady, would you like some wine?" And she's like, "Yeah." And Ray's ghost is like, "Yeah, we'll have red." And she's like, "I'll have white. I never really much cared for red." And he's really fucking put out. And basically, Ray was a dick, awful to her. He can see Ray, he explains, because he was in a car accident. Trauma alters perception, and we've heard that. I think that's a normal thing that they talk about. She wants to know where the 16 grand she gave him to invest was, and he's like, I blew it on a bad deal, but don't tell her that. And he's like, yeah, he blew it on a bad deal. The money's gone. She's like, and then he's kicking off, isn't he, Ray? He's like, well, why didn't you don't tell her that and all this kind of stuff. Well, where's Ray now? What's he saying now? Oh, yeah, he left. Oh, that's just like Ray to take the money and run, but he hasn't left. Ray then manages to knock over this glass into his lap, this glass of wine. He's like, yes, I can control the world. I've got powers. I'll be back. And he runs off. And I don't know if you noticed this. As he runs through the wall, he quite blatantly just falls. There are obviously a number of stories out. He runs through the wall, and then you kind of see him. You don't see the other side of the wall, but you just see him fall out of shot. It was great. So Frank gets up to go and kind of get himself cleaned off. He's in the bathroom. He sees this old boy. Oh, boys, the food's good, eh? He's like, yeah, fantastic. And he sees the number 38 burned into his forehead. So he starts kind of like wandering around in the cubicles and all that. And then this ghost comes out of the mirror, plunges his hand at the guy's chest, squeezes, kills him. The ghost of the patron kind of takes the light tunnel away. He's like, Mom? He's like an old man. He's like, Mom? Frank basically just fucking darts after the ghost. And because he's found, quote unquote, fleeing the scene, in spite of the fact he was chasing the ghost, they're after him. Next scene is in his car, chase it down the road. He crashes his car and the killer ghost gets away. I'm going to keep calling it the ghost or the evil ghost, the killer ghost in my notes because
it just looks like the Grim Reaper.
It does look like the Grim Reaper, and he's got a scythe like the Grim Reaper, and that's the joke, I guess, you know. At the police station, this FBI agent, Milton Dammers, is here. Did you recognise the actor?
Oh, God. Do you know, it's the main man for Reanimator, but he's a great character actor, though, isn't he?
I would be surprised if you hadn't been forced to watch a lot of Next Gen with Jeffrey Combs in, because Kirsty loves him.
Is he no in DS9?
Is it DS9? It's not Next Gen. It's DS9. DS9. I think he's in Voyager. It's just random.
He's a big Trekkie fan, isn't he, that boy?
Yeah. And Reanimator's one of those things that I didn't watch until maybe about 10 years ago, and I didn't get the hype. And I think it was kind of too late.
I think you'd missed it. There's another one as well. They done another one. 2000. I think around about that time, but there's another one.
Jeffrey Combs again, is it?
Yeah, he's back in it.
He's great fun in this, by the way.
Oh no, he done really, really well. I think even the Hitler haircut was his idea, and a lot of the tattoo ideas were his. So he's quite dark that way.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'll throw it on the list. He says, I took the train. I didn't feel good about the plane, and I'm like, is it Devon Sawa from last week's Final Destination episode? Let's link these things by fluke all the time, don't we? Dammers has 20 years' experience with cults and sects. He goes on to tell us that in 1990, Frank got drunk and had an argument with his wife while they were building the house, Deborah, about a basketball court and his new home. And he's got this flashback. He's got this hair, this long flowing locks, and he's in a suit and he's playing basketball in a suit and having a drink.
Oh yeah, that's totally 80s, though, isn't it? It's totally 80s.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely it is. Later on, they're having an argument in the car. He's drunk. And he has the crash that was mentioned, and her body was found something like 400 yards away with 13 carved in its forehead.
Yep. Yeah.
Frank's watching from a distance. He sees another light. This is at night. He sees another light. This time it's at the museum. He gets there to find the ghost of the reporter that had written the story about him with 39 on his forehead as he vanishes up into the thing. Mm-hmm. Bannister sees the editor that he's already had the falling out with, and she's got 40 on her forehead. He's like, "You're next." She's like, "What?" It's taken as a threat. Me. Yeah. The cops hold him up, and here's the ghost. It's about to do the deed, but the judge comes in, starts shooting. I was like, "The fucking judge is the hero of the movie." Absolutely is. He shoots the guy away and then starts shagging this sarcophagus with this mummy in. Like, he can see through it. He's like, good teeth. Okay.
That's a bit creepy, though, because you see his bum up and down, and then when he finishes, he says, "I like it when they lay still like that."
That's awful. And he goes, "They don't call me the hanging judge for nothing." I was kind of like, yeah, okay. And I guarantee 16, 17-year-old me loved that particular bit.
Yeah, you'd been like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you notice who one of the deputies was?
No.
So there was two cops. There was Deputy Parker, his name was. It was Dozer for The Matrix.
Oh, right. Good spot. No, I didn't see that at all.
Because I saw him, I'm like, I know his face. And then when I looked, it's Dozer for The Matrix.
Good spot, sir. I wonder if he's in that new one. Did he get killed at some point? He's maybe not in that new one.
I thought they would get killed.
Yeah,
I'm going to see it in a couple of weeks anyway, so I'll let you know.
Oh, mate, you just give me the story verse. I do not. I could not care less. Give me a new Police Academy film and I'm in. Reboot that shit tomorrow, mate.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure we're doing you Caddyshack. You're losing all fucking faith. Don't like The Crow. Don't like The Matrix.
No, don't get me wrong. I love The Matrix. I just don't see the point in the other two. I thought it was just a waste of time and money.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. That's the motorway scene with the cars. That's pretty good.
Oh yeah,
And those stunt twins, not to be confused with the twins out of Terminator 2. I like those. And Gremlins 2.
Well,
I quite like those twins.
that was the sons and the twins in DIY SOS or something like that. See one of those
Oh
afternoon programs.
yeah. They were British. Yeah.
Aye,
Oh well.
yeah. That was him.
I hope they're still getting stunt work at the age of 70 or whatever they are. The evil ghost basically scythes the judge, which I was
Yes.
like, oh, sad.
Well, apparently there was meant to be more scenes with him in it, being in Halfton too, just his top half, but I think they cut them all out.
That's all right. The judge is still alive. Well,
As
dead,
is still alive
whatever.
or
Yeah, okay.
crawling
Oh,
about.
that's a shame. I'd like to see those. The evil ghost chasing them, because obviously he's chasing after the editor. He chokes out Michael J. Fox's character with the scythe, which is quite good. He crashes the car. She's crawling out, trying to get away from him, and the ghost basically does her. He has a flashback to his wife's death in the woods, which is exactly the same. Frank hands himself in, explaining that he has her body. They arrest him.
In the car, yeah.
Yeah, and Lucy says he's innocent, but he admits it's all BS and that he was just doing his job with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, she basically leaves. Dammers is interviewing Frank. Frank explains that he's seen death. Dammers says, you've not seen death, it's your alter ego. There's been 28 artery-crushing deaths since 1990, and he's connected to all of them in some way. But it's just a little fucking town. And at no point does he mention the big fucking zombie mother at some point. That was absurd. He says, what about the guy in the toilet? Did he piss on your Hush Puppies? I was like, oh, okay. Hush Puppies is an American brand of shoes introduced in 1958. It's also a food. It's a small, savoury, deep-fried round ball made from cornmeal-based batter.
All right, okay.
The first recorded use of the name comes from 1899. Now, that's one for Amanda Wilson, of Super Familiar with the Wilsons. She's a Southern gal with Southern tastes. Not in a racist way. I'm keen to point that out. She's lovely and wonderful and shared some of her mum's recipes with me, so... He says, the ghosts aren't going to get me, and he pulls open his shirt, and he's got this lead breastplate.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I'm like, a ghost's radioactive?
No, it's no Superman.
Yeah. Wait, did Ghost do Chernobyl? Have I missed something in? Yeah. Oh, no, I think that was communists. Bad communists. Naughty communists. Hey, that's just got us 1 million listeners in America, though, so that's all right.
Hell yeah.
Slag off communists, you get American listeners. Big fan of socialism, me. So the deputy tells Dammers that there's no proof, so they can't do anything. But Dammers has said, let's keep him in there. I expect him to commit suicide, so we don't need proof. That's dark as fuck, by the way.
I know. That's proper dark. Proper dark.
Lucy and Peter are at Frank's house. He made a rose garden on the basketball court, and it's beautiful. It's really nice.
Really nice.
And you're kind of like, okay, he obviously did that for her.
I forgot a fact, and it's a really interesting fact. I forgot about it. See the scene where they are at the graveside, and Lucy's at the grave when Ray dies. In the background, and apparently in the hill, you can see a little fire. Apparently, that's them burning the set because once they've finished filming it and actually set it on fire.
What?
If you get
that's crazy. All right, okay.
You can see it, but apparently, they'd finished shooting, so in the distance, you can actually see a fire or smoke coming from somewhere.
Right.
But that's them just setting fire to the set. Sorry about that. I just went all the way back again. And now I'm back.
No, that's all right, because I'm going to do it at the end. I've got a couple of bits and pieces here.
Loads.
At that moment, the answer machine kicks in. It's the old girl. She says Patricia's communicating with the evil one. So Lucy heads to see her. Patricia shows Lucy that she's kept all the newspapers from Johnny's trial and all of the subsequent newspapers. She hides Lucy in the wardrobe as Mum heads up. And in the wardrobe, Lucy finds Stanley knife with FB on it. Now, I'd not mentioned this earlier on because I missed it in my notes. But obviously, Frank's initials are FB. And they found the Stanley knife at the murder scene with the 13 in the thing.
Yep.
Why is that there? Well, we don't know. Lucy sneaks out, but Peter's ghost gets skinned and it ends up dropped on the hood of the car, doesn't it? It looks really good on the bonnet of the car.
Yeah, it's quick.
Yeah, that looks really good, and that's the last we see of Elvis. He's all shook up. Lucy goes to the jail. She tells him she's found his knife, but he isn't responding. Confronting him, she asks what he's afraid of. He says he's afraid of losing her. They have a little bit of an embrace, and he sees 41 on her forehead. Stu and Cyrus wrestle the death ghost as he comes in, but not before he murders Stu. Sad.
Stu, right
scythe through the skull, didn't he? That looks really good.
God, yeah, that was good.
They make a run for it, but get cornered by Agent Milson. Lucy's like, he's gone mad. You've got to help me. He's gone crazy. He's broken out. He's gone. And as Milson's kind of holding his gun on him, Lucy subdues him by spraying CO2 fire extinguisher at him.
Yeah.
Now, I am very keen to point out that would kill a man. If you spray a man with a CO2 into his lungs, it will take all the air out and kill him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'd have been all right with that.
With Hammers, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. He says, I'm going to have an out-of-body experience. So she puts him in the chiller. No, you're not going to put me in the cooler. After injecting him with some sort of drug which will bring down his heart rate. Beta blockers will do that. They used to slow down your heart rate and improve blood flow through your body. You'll generally take it if you've been diagnosed with irregular heartbeats or high blood pressure. Looking forward to those.
Cannot wait. Hyper, man, hyper.
My job is going to cause me to need those. She says you've got 20 minutes. She puts him into this blast freezer, doesn't she? This blast chiller.
With a t-shirt on.
I know, yeah. And she says, I'm going to then get you out. Milton arrives and holds her hostage when she sees him in the thing, with the biggest Uzi I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's a cannon. It wasn't a Mac 10, by the way. I double checked, but it wouldn't tell me what the gun was. Okay. There's not a lot of facts on our databases for this film when it comes to guns and cars.
Well, you've got two cars, and you've got what it isn't. He's talking to her in the car, and it's playing Superstar by the Carpenters.
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Absolutely. Released in 1969, it's based on observing female groupies' relationships with rock stars, and it was originally called Groupie brackets Superstar.
Ah, didn't know that.
No, neither did I till I looked into it.
Learn something new every day.
I can. So Frank has this out-of-body experience. He looks like Frank Ghost. He's chasing the evil ghost, which is chasing Lucy. There's a bit where he gets flattened by this massive 18-wheeler, which was really Looney Tunes, and I was kind of into it for a second. Both times I watched this movie, I was like, haha, that's great Looney Tunes stuff. He gets, like, literally flattened. And I did think to myself, yeah, that's them advertising what this equipment can do.
Oh, God,
in this film. They're doing a great job of advertising what the film can
do.
Yeah. Back in the car, she spots that he's got a swastika on his hand, Milton.
Mm-hmm.
And he admits a few things. Swastikas, it really does. It's not a bad symbol. It's just been taken on by the wrong people. It means conducive to well-being as a religious icon. It's used as a symbol of divinity and spirituality in Indian regions. It was a symbol of auspiciousness and good luck until the 30s when those bastards took it on. In fact, I'm not even going to say what party took it on.
He mentioned a couple of sects, didn't he? So he mentioned Children of Lucifer and Cult of the Dead.
Yeah.
Not real things.
Not real. But what he does mention that's real is he says, I knew Charlie. I was on Spahn Ranch. Yeah. It's a little kind of mini reference to our favourite film we've not covered, which we won't cover because it's a fucking 100 hours long.
Oh, God,
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So, of course, got me to thinking, I pour myself a brandy and watch a Peter Jackson double bill of Brain Dead and Bad Taste. Any excuse. Any fucking excuse. It has been months and months and months since I've done it. So let me
I'll let you have it.
Yeah. I've got to watch that movie again. It's such a grower. That film. It's one of those that I went to the cinema and I just felt so meh afterwards. But it's really, 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 truly grown on me. Yeah. Oh, I just feel like it's one I could watch every 6 months. Anyway, enough. We're not talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Milton opens his shirt to display all these kind of scars that he's got, and you're talking about the cuts he's been. But did he not, in the last scene, not have that fucking breastplate on? What's the point in taking that off?
Yeah, well, is it because there's no way Frank? There's no scared
Oh,
Frank
perhaps, yeah.
him up or something?
Yeah, that's a fair point, yeah. Pain, he says, I've suffered for my country, but pain is its own reward. Like, fucking hell. Self-flagellating prick. The car starts itself, and Milton thinks it's him. He's out of the car, isn't he? He's at the thing. He's like, I've got to a point where I can power the car with my own mind. It's Frank. The drill sergeant spots him, forces him into this grave with this body with all the worms. It looked really cool. I like that.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
The evil spirit heads into the graveyard. It goes straight through the drill sergeant, which we won't be seeing him again. Is that a future episode, by the way? Should we maybe be doing Full Metal Jacket?
Is it maybe a bit too... Should we?
Oh, no, I can make jokes about Vietnam like the fucking best of them. Jesus Christ, mate. Come on.
True.
I almost got us cancelled making jokes about 9/11, for God's sake. Jokes about Vietnam.
You can do it. You can do it.
Just before the ghost can reach Lucy, Frank's picked up the gunnery's rifle, like his guns. Yeah, and he shoots him into a goopy mess. Now this looks great, and especially because the goopy mess starts
dripping down.
He's basically smashing it, isn't he, against the thing?
Yeah,
he's like a fucking whip, isn't he? A licorice whip, and he smashes it. He's like, "Who are you? Who are you?" And you see Johnny Bartlett's face, those fucking teeth and those eyes.
And it's weird. He's got such blue eyes that it looks as if he's got contacts in it. Don't you think he needed?
No, they don't need them. Those boys are big fans of 30 swastikas. There's no doubt about that. And he says, they realise it's Johnny Bartlett. He then sees that all the goop goes into this crypt, and as he drops down to the crypt, and this was the bit that I didn't like. This was the bit of the effects I liked the least, I think is probably what I want to say. Because it looked very Lawnmower Man. It looked like it might have been made on the fucking Amiga. This little bit.
It looked like the Sandman in Spider-Man 3, but just wasn't as good, if you know what I mean. It just looked that...
Hang on a second. If this looked like the Sandman out of Spider-Man 3... Spider-Man 3 fucking 10 years later... I will let you. Credit where it's fucking due to these boys. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. So yeah, really. But it still looked good. It still looked kind of good as he was crawling out of the sludge. Anyway, he manages to get rid of this body that Johnny Bartlett's in. He's in this slime monster body.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? He manages to smash it to bits, and we see Johnny Bartlett's ghost as a blue ghost like all the other ones. Yeah. And he's just about to side him in the head, and what happens?
He gets resuscitated and brought back to life.
Fucking Lucy, man. Let go. Fucking... Anyway. And then the movie's done, and we're only, an hour and 20 minutes into the movie. I'd be all right with that. That works. Yeah. But we've got to have some twistiness.
Hell yeah.
Lucy drives to the old house to get Patricia away from it. She tells Patricia Johnny's back. She says she knows. Johnny's ghost arrives and says she's going to be number 41. We're going to beat Bundy's record. Ted Bundy, of course, we know who that is. There's nothing we can add to fucking Ted Bundy that we haven't already talked about.
Oh, just a kill count, because I think he was going up by kill count, wasn't he? So Bundy confessed to 30. He was about 30. Yeah. Well, confessed to 30, but probably more than that. But I think he was trying to drip feed the Popo information to keep himself alive. But he confessed to 30. Of
course he was. Awful people. Johnny wants to kill Lucy now, but for Patricia to do it while he watches. She grabs this massive fucking kitchen knife, by the way. And I was like, yeah, that's good. And then she's like stabbing him, and it's like a sexual thing. And I was like, what a
really
fucking
dark.
pervert, because she's, she was only 15 years old.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really dark bit. I found that quite dark. Hence the R rating.
Oh, is that what gave it the R rating?
Well, I think the Peter Jackson tried to tone it down as much because they were going to try and release it. If I remember right, they were going to try and release it round about Halloween.
Okay.
But the studio decided against it and put it up later on, which is probably why it flopped as well. But Peter Jackson tried to edit it in such a way that it would be alright for kids as well, but they wouldn't have it. So that's why towards the end you see things getting a bit crazy.
I'm really glad they didn't, because I'd get really fucked off with 12As and PG-13s and all this kind of carry on. Let's have a fucking film. I think it's a 15, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Let's have a film. Let's give us a film. You can still make money making 18s. I don't care what anybody says. Yes. If the film's good, people will go and watch it.
Oh yeah.
People will buy it and rent it.
Unless there's a Stallone film out.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Lucy heads upstairs to get Mrs. Bradley. She finds Patricia sliced into bits in the bed. Patricia fails to kill Lucy with the knife, so she grabs a shotgun.
As you do.
They trap Ghost Johnny in his urn, which she has, which looks like the original World Cup, didn't it? The Jules Rimet trophy.
Looks like the Calcutta Cup.
Frank explains they need to banish him to the other side, which is where Notts County play. So they head to the chapel in the old hospital. Patricia's stalking him in the corridors. Now, I think this movie is due a video game. There's a lot in this that is video gamey. That is,
especially in the hospital scenes. A lot of that. Yeah.
Frank hallucinates the kind of the 60s in the hospital. So it was meant to be 1964. He sees Johnny on his original rampage, and arguably he wasn't going to do anything until the doctor calls it. But he'd got the gun. Nice. So it's fine. 1964 it was. Other things that happened in 1964. China exploded the A-bomb.
Oh.
Yeah.
What about the F-bomb?
No, they didn't drop the C-bomb either. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. receives the Nobel Prize, all part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Good work, Dr. King. Beatles in America. So you know all that fucking footage of screaming, Beatles in America! Fuck it. Can't hear them singing because of it. Didn't do that for Mud, did they? And Tanganyika and Zanzibar merge, as they're now known as Bring It You from Zanzibar. There's a Tenacious D reference that nobody wanted. They're a murdering couple, by the way. I was wondering about films that had got murdering couples in. Heathers, 1988.
Yep, Christian
Slater.
Slater.
It's an alright film. Christian Slater, man, I wish he'd been in more stuff.
No.
Natural Born Killers, which I don't rate. Just something about Natural Born Killers I don't really like. I'm just not into.
Is it Robert Downey Jr. Yeah.
It's everybody. Everybody puts me. Bride of Chucky.
Oh yeah.
Let the Right One In, arguably. I love those kids. Those kids.
Yeah, he allows it, doesn't he? He allows it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thelma and Louise.
Oh yeah, Thelma and Louise is a good one. Yeah. Arguably True Romance.
Oh God, aye. Yeah.
True Romance. Oh, True Romance is a future episode. R.I.P. Chris Penn, the only pen that I give my heart to, other than this biro I'm holding.
But yeah, it'd be a cracking episode. Long episode, but we're cracking.
Yeah, it's well worth it. So all the while they're heading to the chapel, Frank's seeing the murders happen on that day. Whilst Frank's avoiding Patricia, Lucy's grabbed by this newly arrived Milton. She gives him the slip in the world's noisiest and ricketiest elevator lift.
Oh, yeah.
It alerts Patricia because it's really fucking noisy. The lift jams between floors, which all I could think was every horror film I've ever seen.
It's definitely one of those tropes.
Frank manages to get the urn off of Lucy, which is what England aren't going to be able to do off Australia in the Ashes. Milton intercepts Frank, takes the urn, and empties it out the window.
Yeah,
and you kind of see his face in the Ashes, and that looks really good. Yeah. He says Frank's delusional. He says you're such an asshole. He says, yeah, but I'm an asshole with an Uzi. And he shoots him like one bullet once in the shoulder. And I understand that that's a one-armed gun. That's a one-handed gun.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're not easy to control.
Mm-hmm.
But fucking hell, what a bad shot is he?
He had all that body to hit and he just clips his shooter.
As Dammers goes to shoot him again, he drops to the ground because he won't shoot him in the back. He drops to the ground. Patricia's on the other side, and Patricia blows Dammers' head off, which looks really good. You see the ghost head.
Yeah, that's when they decided, because it wasn't going to be it's going to be a 15. They decided just to put that bit in because it was maybe shot through the chest like Death Becomes Her.
All right. Okay. Oh, a hole in the chest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Frank falls through 2 floors of rotten floor, and Lucy comes to save him, only for him to get a rifle butt to the face off Patricia.
Mm-hmm.
He then flashes back to the day his wife died, and you see that it's actually Patricia that killed her with his Stanley knife.
Yeah.
She then realises she's out of shells. Patricia goes to shoot him. She realises she's out of shells. She chokes him out with the barrel of the gun, killing him. You're like, fucking hell. She killed the protagonist of the film.
And then kicks him in the feet.
You're like, oh, come on. She goes to run Lucy through, but Frank's ghost grabs Patricia and heads up the tunnel to heaven.
Yep.
Which I was like, oh, that's
good move.
Yeah, that's a move. Johnny's screaming like, no way, I'm going to wrestle Patricia off you. Anyway, he does. He wrestles her off him. Frank lands with Stu and Cyrus, and they're like, no, step back. You don't want to be part of this. And Johnny's giving it the old, yeah, we're going to go back down and kill some more. Yeah, we're going to do this. The tunnel turns into these worms, which I still thought looked good. Look good. And the worms go through them. And then it closes up into this giant worm who licks its lips, which I was like, "Mwah! That's the coup de grace. That's the coup de grace. That one." I know it's coup de grace, listeners. I just like to be very common. It's my coal mining background. And they vanish off into basically hell worms. Cyrus and Stu explain it's brilliant up there. Stu's popular with the girls. Cyrus can smoke his cigars. And then the wife's there, and she says, "Look, it's not your time to go. Go back and be happy
and enjoy your life. Yeah. Enjoy yourself."
The next shot, Lucy's crying on him, and he wakes up. Well, that's it. Lucy and Frank are drinking champagne on the hill as his house is being demolished. So he basically had the blessing to get rid of the house.
Yep.
The sheriff arrives, and he says, "Look, I've got to tell you, we found a whole heap of Ouija boards up there. Not you. not that kind of Ouija. At the house, which allowed Patricia to be able to contact Johnny." And he's like, "Nice epilogue, well delivered, Walt." And I'm like, yes! I love it. Love it when people call people out on all the whole story. It's great. I love it. He says, "Look, I want to write a book on what happened." And Frank says, "Why don't you just ask your guardian angel?" And points to the car. He looks back at the car, and obviously you can't see anything. And he's like laughing, "Guardian angel, you're a guy." Gets back in the car as the car drives off. Who's in the back seat?
Oh, Dammers.
Dammers. And Lucy's like, "Dammers looks really pissed off." And he's like, "You could see him?" "Well, yeah, when you have
a near-death experience."
Yeah, that's right. You can see it. And that's the movie. And it was brilliant. I had such a great time. It's been such a while since we've watched a really good film.
Oh, that was really,
that's really good. That's really fun.
I'd recommend that to anybody. It's still funny. The graphics still hold up. The CGI holds up. It's still good. Good.
Oh, John, what have you got? Because I've got fucking tons left here.
Right, so I'll be as quick as I can with these. So Robert Zemeckis is obviously a producer, but the last film he directed was 2020's The Witches.
Oh, that's rotten, mate. Have you seen that?
No, I don't want to see it now.
Oh no, don't! It's rotten. Yeah.
Because I think the last big one he done was that, is it Mars Needs Mums? It lost like 130
Oh
million or
shit!
something.
That's the
That
thing
was,
that puts studio your face kind of films, because he did the one. I'll kill your monster, didn't he? He did that one.
oh, sorry, that
The I
Jesus.
want to say Behemoth. It's not called Behemoth. What's the old English
Beowulf.
story? Beowulf. Yeah, he did
Uh,
that. He did the Polar Express, which is really uncanny valley, and he
uh-huh.
did the world's worst, as it's Christmas, the world's worst Ebenezer Scrooge film,
Oh, did he do the
the
Jim
Jim
Carrey one?
Carrey one. Yeah, and it's just
He needs
stop doing the fucking
the
face.
computer things. Yeah, it's
Stop
just
it.
it doesn't work.
Yeah, that Mars Need Moms thing looks. I think I've probably managed about 10 minutes. That looks awful.
I watched it just to see how bad it was. It was a shame, but right, okay. The Grim Reaper is a spectral entity that is said to be the manifestation of death itself. It's been about, or the word or the description has been used since the 15th century. I didn't know this. In the UK, you can reserve a grave for a period of up to from a year to up to 5 years with an annual fee, which is non-refundable. You can only reserve
Right.
one grave. You can only reserve one. You can't reserve it for anybody else. The
Okay.
utility knife goes back to Roman times. The first modern styled utility knife is widely acknowledged as being the Stanley knife, which
Yeah.
was which was made in the 1930s.
Just to jump in on that one, I had Stanley knives are 1168 at Screwfix. If you want one, it is illegal to carry one without good reason, i.e., if you're a carpet fitter or you're having a dust up at Hearts versus Hibs Derby.
Ah.
I don't think that's a good reason. Listeners, don't go knifing
Don't
people.
go
It's
crazy.
terrible. It's an awful idea.
You mentioned John Wayne Gacy, didn't you? So John Wayne Gacy was known as a clown killer who assaulted and murdered at least 33 young men and boys. And he's heard saying something about the crazy cannibal Russian.
Hmm.
Is that ringing any
It
bells?
does, yeah.
So
He's
that
he's complaining that the record should be held by an American. Record should be
aye,
held by an
no doubt,
American with
yeah.
big teeth. Yeah.
So he's referring to a Ukrainian called Andrei Chikilio.
Okay.
He was a Soviet serial killer nicknamed the Red Ripper, who sexually assaulted, murdered, and mutilated at least 52 women and children between 1978 and 1990
Wow. I am so
in Russia.
very sorry. Okay.
God,
Wow.
so it's held by Russia right now.
Well, it isn't. It's held by the Ukraine. Don't get those
Well,
two mixed up. It's held by one of the former CCCCCCCCP. Yeah. Okay. I like these pickup sticks. Someone mentions pickup sticks as a game. You can play pickup sticks with toothpicks if you are up for a Christmas dinner game that isn't getting drunk and falling over your dog, John, which I know you probably do. Pickup sticks or pick a stick is a game of physical and mental skill in which a bundle of sticks is dropped as a loose bunch on a tabletop, jumbling into a random pile. Each player in turn tries to remove a stick from the pile without disturbing any others. I personally prefer Kaplunk.
I was going to say that. It just sounds like a boring version of Kaplunk. Kaplunk's
A
better.
version of Kaplunk without
There's so
fucking marbles.
consequences to your actions.
Kaplunk's amazing. Table salts. Table salt gets mentioned, and I can't remember for why. But table salt is typically mined from underground deposits and is processed to remove other minerals. Table salt is commonly fortified with iodine, which is important for your thyroid health.
God, yeah.
Ectoplasm. I like this fact. Ectoplasm is from the ancient Greek word ektos, which
Which is
means outside.
outside.
Yeah.
Yep.
And plasma, which is I can't read that Greek. It's all Greek to me, which literally means
To mold or something.
correct. Yeah. Um, uh, it means which has form.
Yep. Sorry.
It's the crud which supports the cells which are transported around the body. There you go.
Right.
I struggled a little bit there because I'd managed to mix up the Greek bits, and I was kind of like, "Oh, I can read that. I can read that." No, I can't. No, I
I just keep forgetting my Greek.
can't. The Spahn Movie Ranch, which I'm going to go back to the
Refer
movie,
to, yep.
in
You didn't
LA,
think of
bought
that.
by George Spahn, in 1953. It's 55 acres. It's no longer used. It was primary residence of the Manson family. 68, 69. Nice. Spahn was 80 years old and going blind and allowed them to stay rent-free for Labour as long as he watched his
didn't kill
TV
them.
shows on a Sunday night, if you remember.
That's right.
Michael J. Fox, I wanted to kind of highlight a little bit about Parkinson's, which obviously we know Michael J. Fox suffers from. It's a degenerative disorder of the central nervous system, symptoms of tremors, rigidity, slowness of movement. There is no known cause, but risks can allegedly come from head injuries, exposure to pesticides, and sadly, there is no known cure. However, if you're in the States, if you're in the UK, there are definitely specific Parkinson's charities who are doing research all the time.
Yeah.
Last thing for me is around the makeup for the judge. Now, it says at the start, special makeup for the judge is Rick Baker. Now, you know that name, John, because you know him from loads of things. The detachable jawbone bit was later added in digitally, so you can kind of see it moving in bits, and it looks like a prop, but it's not. Baker was brought on to do the makeup, but couldn't because it took 5 hours to do John Astin's makeup. His commitment was to The Nutty Professor.
Oh, wow.
Which is a terrible film I saw at the cinema.
Jesus.
But, you know, Rick Baker won an Oscar for that movie.
What for
the makeup on The Nutty Professor.
That's crazy.
He won an Oscar
man.
on The Nutty Professor. I mean, the makeup is good. So makeup artist Brian Panakis had to do the application of the 5 hours worth of makeup. I mean, any excuse to not do it. On the subject of Rick Baker, though, he won the first Academy Award for Makeup Oscar. Do you know which film? Very famous horror film. With very good makeup and effects.
Oh, The Howling?
Close. American Werewolf in London.
Oh, fuck.
You were so close there.
So close.
That is mine's, mate. How many do you think we got?
I want it to be 100. So I'm going to say 100.
I'm gutted.
How?
It's 96.
Fuck off. No way.
Shit. No. Hang on. I've just missed my bit about Weta. Weta is Peter Jackson's in-house sci-fi, in-house special effects. It's won 6 Academy Awards for Best Visual Effects, including Avatar and The Jungle Book. Amongst other things, they've created a system called Barbershop, which I thought was brilliant, which allows artists to manipulate VFX hair, which they did for those monkey films, the Planet of the Apes films.
Oh, Planet of the Apes, yeah.
And it's named after the Weta, which is a huge kiwi insect with the claws and the face, and it's minging.
Right, okay.
Hang on. 97, 98,
I've
99, 100.
Right, we're not doing it anymore.
All right, okay. That's it.
I had one more, but that's it.
Add it if you want. What you got?
Have you got any more?
No, I'm out. No, I thought I was out already, but I'd missed the Weta thing. I had this third sheet that I'd missed Weta.
The only other thing, Michael J. Fox was the only person that was up for this role. They didn't have anybody else in mind apart from him. But if he did fall through, they had Tom Cruise and somebody else in mind. I know.
Tom Cruise? Fucking
Tom Cruise. Who knew? But that's me, 101.
101. Yo! Well done, that man. 101 damnations. Fantastic.
I had a found for, by the way. Because I've still got my notes.
I would have found for.
And then take them up. But I always leave stuff out, man. Like Danny Elfman. We didn't even touch on Danny Elfman. And you love Danny Elfman.
I try not to touch on Danny Elfman. Mrs. Elfman gets upset. Elfman on the shelfman at this time of year.
I know half.
Well, that was fun, wasn't it, listeners? Yeah, there's nobody still listening. Nobody's listening.
Goodbye.
So that is the movie. That's 101 Things We Learned. You know where to get us. We're all over the internet at 100 Things Pod on Twitter, where we are mostly about at 100 Things Film on Facebook, Instagram, and Tickety Talks. We have a sister podcast where myself and Tom talk about everything that we've learned from an episode of The Simpsons. There is an episode, our Christmas episode is live as we speak, which is the first ever episode of The Simpsons. So get some of that in your fucking lugs. Give us a review, rate reviews wherever you can, please. That would be really nice. Tell us something that you learned. Thanks to everybody that does that on a regular basis. John, what would you like to say in parting?
Very rare that we recommend films that we've watched. Some that actually sometimes really kill them, don't mean and stick a knife in. But this one, if you get the chance to see it, give it a watch. I actually forget how good it actually is, so give it a go.
Yeah, good
Give
crack.
it a go.
Good crack. We'll be back next week with our proper Christmas Ghost episode. We're going to be talking the fantastic Bill Murray in Scrooge.
Love that as well. Love it as well.
Great.
I watch it every year, so I know
yeah,
inside
watching it twice this year will not go amiss. Sandy Duncan, 2 first names. Don't trust her. Bill Murray, 2 first names. Fucking hell, is this an episode of 2 first names? We'll come to it. We'll figure it out. Okay. But until next week, he's been John, I've been Mark, and we have been 101 Things we learned about Peter Jackson and the always brilliant Michael J. Fox, except for Doc Hollywood, of the Frighteners. See ya.
See ya, guys.